Welcome to the world beyond imagination. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And enjoy the journey. One small act of kindness triggered a galactic war. The wind on Caleb 7 didn't howl. It whispered, a dry, rasping sound like sand sliding over bone. Caleb was a border world, a forgotten rock in the silent expanse between human space and the vast, unknowable territories of the Galactic Accord. We were here because no one else wanted to be. Miners scraping at the dirt, and I was just a mechanic. My name is Leo. I found them on the edge of the scrapyard, where the rusted bones of old diggers met the endless, crimson desert. Two of them, huddled under the skeletal shade of a broken conveyor. They were like nothing I'd ever seen, skin a pale, luminous blue, stretched over frames so slender they seemed made of glass and wishful thinking. Their eyes were huge pools of liquid obsidian, wide with a fear so profound it stuck in my own throat. They looked at me, and I looked at the empty, barren wasteland around us. There was no food here. Nothing but silica and despair. They were just kids, alien or not. They were starving kids. So I did the thing you do. The human thing. I crouched down, slow, non-threatening. I opened my lunch pack. I had a protein bar, dense and unappetizing, and a small self-heating can of stew. I broke the bar in half. My hands were clumsy in my work gloves, and I held it out. They flinched back, a single unified motion. Their large ears lay flat for a long moment. Nothing moved but the whispering sand. Then, the smaller one, its nose twitched. It crept forward, an inch, then another. It took the offering from my palm with delicate, three-fingered hands. It nibbled, then devoured. The other followed, their quiet desperation breaking my heart into 1,000 pieces. I heated the stew, the can humming softly. I poured it into my metal cup and set it between them. They drank, their delicate throats working, and for a second, the fear in their eyes was replaced by something else. Something warm. It was just a moment, a fleeting connection under a hazy, alien sun. I checked my wrist comp, 19 minutes. Until my shift resumed, I sat with them in the quiet. I never heard the ships arrive. The first I knew was when the whispering wind stopped. The air grew thick, heavy, pressing down on my shoulders like a physical weight. I looked up. The sky was gone. It was replaced by a wall of gray metal, curved and seamless, stretching from one horizon to the other. Ships, thousands of them, maybe tens of thousands. They hung in perfect, terrible silence, blotting out the light, casting the world into a cold twilight gloom. Then a voice boomed from the sky, not through a speaker, but inside my very skull, a vibration that made my teeth ache. The sacred ones, you have touched them. You have fed them the poison of your kind. The crime is eternal. The penalty is oblivion. From the largest ship, a beam of crackling energy lanced down. It struck the mining complex 5 miles away, where 300 men and women lived, worked, dreamed. There was no sound, just a flash of pure, white light, and when it faded, the complex was gone, replaced by a smoking, glassy crater. My blood turned to ice. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. This wasn't the first contact. This was an extermination, and I had caused it. My protein bar, my can of stew, my stupid human kindness. The two blue creatures, the sacred ones, were trembling violently, pressed against each other. They weren't looking at the armada. They were looking at me, and in their dark eyes, I saw it again, not just fear, but apology, a deep, grieving sorrow. The voice in my head returned, colder now. You will come, you will be judged, and your world will be seeded with salt. A smaller beam, a precise tractor, descended towards me. Panic, pure and electric, shot through my veins. But beneath the panic, something else stirred, a hot, hard coal of anger. They called my kindness poison. They called my compassion a crime. They had just murdered 300 of my people without a second thought. I looked. At the two scared children, I looked at the sky full of war, and I made a choice. I stood up. I did not raise my hands. I stepped in front of the blue ones, placing myself between them and the descending light. I tilted my head back and I spoke, my voice a ragged scrape against the immense silence. "You're wrong." The tractor beam paused. The psychic pressure intensified. Questioning, furious, I pointed a finger, not at the ships, but at the creatures. Behind me, they were hungry, they were scared. I fed them. That is not a crime. That is what you do. A wave of contempt washed over me. Primitive. Your actions have defiled the pure. Your species is a blight. We have watched you. You fight, you consume, you destroy. The anger in me solidified. It became a weapon. "Yeah, we fight," I shouted, my voice gaining strength, ringing out in the dead air. "We fight for our homes. We fight for each other, and you know what else we do? We build, we create, we show mercy. You call feeding a starving child defilement. What does that make you?" The silence from the armada was different now, not just imposing, but considering. I charged ahead, driven by desperation and a furious, burning pride. You have thousands of ships. You have weapons that can erase cities. And you use it to terrorize a mechanic for sharing his lunch. You talk about purity while you practice genocide. You are not judges, you are bullies. And humanity has a message for bullies. I took a deep breath, and I poured every ounce of conviction, every shred of defiance into my next words. I thought of the lost complex, of the families gone. I thought of the simple human need to help. The war you want is the war you will get. But know this, you didn't start it today. You started it the moment you decided compassion was a weakness. You started it the moment you looked at these children and saw symbols instead of souls. We will fight you, not because we hate you, but because you leave us no choice. We will fight you for every star, every planet, every single lonely rock. And we will show you the terrifying galaxy-shaking power of a people who are not afraid to be kind. I fell silent, chest heaving. The two blue beings slowly, carefully, crept forward. They didn't hide behind me. They stood beside me. One placed its delicate hand on my boot, a gesture of solidarity, of thanks. For what felt like an eternity, nothing happened. The giant ships hung in the sky, a suspended sentence. Then a new sound, a deep, subsonic hum that shook the sand beneath my feet. One by one, along the colossal curve of the lead ship, weapon ports began to glow, a constellation of deadly red lights. They were powering up. The verdict was in, and it was death. I closed my eyes not in fear, but in final defiance. I thought, I'm sorry to everyone, but the blast never came. Instead, a new presence entered my mind, not the booming voice of judgment, but a chorus, 1,000 soft melodic whispers. It was coming from the blue ones. Their touch on my boot was a conduit, and through it flowed not words, but images, feelings, a history, their species. The Ilari were not sacred children. They were the last of the first, the galaxy's gardeners, revered as living treasures by the Accord, but also imprisoned by that reverence, isolated, never touched, never spoken to, only worshipped from afar. Their silent, psychic plea for simple connection had been mistaken for a divine aura. My act of feeding them, of seeing them as beings not symbols, had shattered an eternity of doctrine. The weapon lights on the armada flickered. The psychic roar of the judges fragmented into confusion, into argument. The chorus in my mind focused, and the two Ilari looked up at me, and for the first time, I heard a clear, singular voice, gentle as a breeze. "Thank you, friend." They turned their gaze upwards, towards the armada, and as one, the entire species, these two last survivors, projected a single powerful, undeniable truth. A truth of loneliness ended, of a gift received, of a connection made. It was a truth so pure, so antithetical to the Accord's story of defilement, that it struck their civilization like a psychic shockwave. On the underbelly of the great ship, a different bay opened. This time, a single, sleek shuttle emerged, not a weapon, but an envoy. It descended towards the desert floor, towards me, and the two Ilari still at my side. The war was not over, it was just beginning. But its first battle had not been won by weapons, or strategy, or strength. It had been won by a protein bar, and a can of stew, and the unbreakable, terrifying, wonderful human instinct to be kind, even when the universe itself tells you it is a crime. The shuttle landed, its engines sighing softly, the ramp extended, and I, Leo the mechanic, with my two blue friends, prepared to step into the belly of the beast, to face the galaxy, not as a criminal, but as a living, breathing declaration of war. A war fought for the very soul of what it means to be human. And somewhere, in the depths of space, humanity's fleets, having heard the distress call from a vanished mining colony, were now burning hard for the border, their crews united by a single burning question. A question that would soon echo through the halls of the Galactic Accord. A question that would become our battle cry. What did you do to our people? The story continues.